Penelope and Colin aren't even married in this book. And in the show, they have a kid? Season 4, Part 1 of Bridgerton is chapters 1 through 12 in An Offer from a Gentleman, which is Sophie and Benedict's book. I have taken extensive notes on the Bridgerton book that season 4 is based off of and each episode. So let's go through how the book is like the show and then how the show is so different. So first, like glaring differences with the show versus the book is the show kind of like incorporates multiple Bridgerton family storylines at the same time. So like this book is Benedict and Sophie, and all we really see is Benedict and Sophie's storyline. So like in this season, even just in part 1, we have like every single other storyline. Like Daphne's not in it anymore, but like every other Bridgerton is like basically getting a storyline, including the mom. So that's not how the books are at all. Another glaring difference in the book versus the show is this is actually book 3 in the Bridgerton series, and book 4 is Colin and Penelope's book. So in the show at this point for Benedict and Sophie's season, Penelope and Colin are married. They already had their season. They have a kid together. We know like she's Lady Whistledown, like all of that. In this book, like Penelope and Colin, like they're not even talking to each other. There's even like a scene where Colin's like, I would never marry Penelope Featherington. He's still very much like sees her just like kind of like as a friend or whatever, because their book comes after this one. And in the book, which I think is like a really cool detail, because of like the order of them, is so when Sophie comes into the masquerade ball, Benedict is actually supposed to be dancing with Penelope. Violet's like, oh, look at Penelope Featherington standing there all by herself. Benedict, go dance with her. But then when Sophie comes in and Benedict sees Sophie, he immediately like makes a beeline for her because he's like, who is this mysterious woman in silver? And obviously that's Benedict leaving Penelope high and dry. So he's like, Colin, go dance with Penelope. Colin, go dance with her. And that's like the first time that Colin and Penelope like dance together. And like the start of like the romance a little bit. So obviously very different timeline for Colin and Penelope's story in the books versus the show. The book actually opens up with a prologue as well, that's told solely from Sophie's point of view. So in the show, it opens up with them like bustling around Bridgerton house, like getting it ready for the family in the season, because like we already know all of those Bridgerton characters and like we want to be like reunited with their storylines. But the prologue in the Bridgerton book, An Offer from a Gentleman, gives us all the lore into Sophie, and like tells us how she ends up like living with the Earl, and like when her stepmom and sisters come to live with her, like all of that background knowledge. That's like the entire prologue. So we learn all about Sophie before we even learn about Benedict at all in the book, which I think is very interesting because obviously in the show we have like so much background knowledge on Benedict and like their whole family already. And so then a lot of the stuff in the book is the same as like it comes to major plot points like the masquerade ball, them going to the cottage together, her coming to work for the Bridgerton house, like different things like that. There are some like little differences that I do think kind of like make a big impact into the storyline. So like one thing is, you know, when they're at the party at, oh my god, what's his name? Something with a C. Wait, why can't I? Hold on, I'm like scrolling through all my notes. CAD something. What is this? Cavender. Yeah, the Cavender party. And in the show, it's like the Cavender and his guy friends going after like the maid, and Sophie butts in to save her. But in the book, they're actually like going after Sophie, all of the guys. And Benedict comes and like rescues actually her. And then in the show as well, like they're holed up at the cottage because he like got injured like in the fight. But in the book, he has like the flu. He's like sick. And she has to heal him back together. Also, too, in the book, Benedict is much more toxic. He gets like angry, like has definitely like has anger issues in the book. Much more toxic, but like has like more like romantic ideals. Like he's trying to like be romantic. Where like I feel in the show, Benedict is just like this aloof, like artsy guy. And so in the book, actually, when they're at the scene with like Benedict swimming in the lake and Sophie like stumbling upon him, that's like the first time they kind of have like a conversation about a mistress, and it's actually Sophie who brings up the term mistress first. He's like, Benedict's like, I just want to be with you, like da 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 da. And she's like, okay, well, that's a mistress because, like, I know you're not going to marry me. And he's like, oh, like, why do you have to say it like that? Like, it's different. And then, like, the hallway scene, like the stairwell scene, excuse me, that we see in the show, that doesn't happen in the book. And, like, that's, like, he says, like, oh, be my mistress, like, as if it's an honor. Like, that conversation doesn't really happen in the book. It's always like Sophie the one calling it out, like being like, you just want me to be your mistress.